The 5 things that you're doing wrong that makes you a slave to your practice. See, many years ago when I started my practice, I would call myself a business owner, but in reality, my business owned me. If you're a PT practice owner and you're more comfortable seeing patients than steering the ship as the CEO, your practice may own you too, but it's not your fault. So you've spent years and well over $100,000 learning how to be a kick-ass clinician, but you're likely missing one piece of the puzzle that's keeping you from reaching your dream as a business owner. You see, what keeps you up at night? It's not how to treat Bob Smith's back condition. You already got that one figured out. Most of us have never trained on how to run a business. In the School of Hard Knocks, well, it has a pretty high tuition. I decided to go all in and invest in getting trained as an executive, and that investment paid off. And what I've learned is not sexy. Once I learned to consistently apply a few actions, everything began to change. I 9X'd my own practice, then started a management training and consulting company that's trained over 2,700 practice owners on practice management. So I want to share with you some things that I did in my practice, and then I later shared them with clients. So I'm talking about your daily disciplines as a CEO. There have been 5 of them that have been an absolute game changer for me. And number 3 is my favorite. Even if you just apply the first 3 daily disciplines, it'll be a game changer for you too. But you'll need to set these daily disciplines up as routine in your practice as brushing your teeth. You see, many practice owners got their practice up to a point where they can reduce their hours treating so that they can get on top of their business, but few are able to stay there. Why is that? Well, it's because they haven't established their daily disciplines as a CEO, the consistent day-to-day, week-to-week actions that allow them to stay on top of the practice. Top-level athletes have routines on how they train. They stay consistent. They know it works. They don't bounce around trying to figure out a new idea that they've heard about recently. They focus on what works and they stick with it. So I'm going to kind of show you what to focus on, but you'll need to stick with it. So here are step 0 actions. Now, before I get into the daily disciplines, there are 2 things that we need to establish. That's why I call it step 0. It's before we ever get started. So in your step 0 actions, number 1, you need to create a window of time for you to be able to manage. And number 2, all staff must be assigned a statistic or 2 that adequately measures their performance. Now, set up your management time this way. Establish a minimum of a 5-hour block during the work week. If you fail to do this, you will never map a path for success. Trust me, I've seen client after client who gets sucked back down into patient care and decides to drop out their 5-hour management block, and the practice goes stagnant. Don't think of doing anything else until you've locked in the 5-hour block of time during the week, or you'll never be able to implement what follows. Now, once you've blocked in your 5-hour block, the next thing you do is to get everyone on your team keeping a statistic or 2. For example, the front desk is supposed to get everyone scheduled and arriving at their appointment as scheduled, along with collecting all the money that's due at the front desk. The statistics that they should track daily and weekly would be the arrival percentage, along with the percentage of over-the-counter monies that are due that were actually paid. If you want help with this, book a call with us and we can get granular, but in a general sense, figure out what each position produces on the job which the company exchanges them a paycheck. So now you've blocked out your time to manage your practice, and you've got all your staff keeping statistics so that they're tracking them daily and weekly. So your daily actions. Step 1, start each day with a 5-minute production meeting. We call it a morning huddle. The morning huddle is designed to create group internal pressure to reach weekly targets on an individual basis, like the group is pushing versus you're always pushing. So you do this so you can get your group aligned towards getting things done. Being busy is not the same as getting things done. The morning huddle gets your day started out with a coordinated focus to get things done. The morning huddle is not a one-on-one meeting. So you meet with your team before you start seeing patients to get them on top of their day. If that's not possible just because of schedules and everything else, maybe take 5 minutes before the afternoon caseload rolls in to start your huddle. The tendency is to make the morning huddle overly complicated, so I want to take a minute to explain it. The remaining 5 steps will roll out much faster. So here's how the morning huddle runs. It's really simple. Once everyone's gathered, single out one staff member and ask, are you on target for this week? If they answer no, ask, do you have a plan written up for the week to reach your target? If they say no, then you say, well, you should have a plan for that. And that is it, nothing more than that. So now if you ask that question and they answer yes, say, great. Do you have a plan written up so that you're following it for the week? If they say no, then you should say you should have a plan for that. And that is it. So you go on to the next staff member and you repeat this step. Even if no one has a plan when you start your morning huddle, eventually someone will poke their head up and they'll have a plan that they're going to share with the group in that morning huddle that they believe will help them reach their weekly target. When they do have a plan, ask them to tell you their plan and then simply acknowledge them. Don't try to correct their plan. Make it safe for them to take ownership of their weekly performance. If you don't mess this up and interrogate the staff member who finally shares their plan to hit their weekly target, you'll make it safe for others to share their plan in the morning huddle. The next day, it's likely that another staff member will share their plan to reach their weekly target, one by one or all at once. You'll have everyone writing up a plan for the week that they believe if they stay with it throughout the week will allow them to achieve their weekly target. So you're essentially, well, you're boiling a frog. You can't toss a frog into boiling water, it'll jump right out. So you start by putting the frog in cold water and you gradually turn the heat up. So the same thing goes with your staff, unfortunately. So you start turning the heat up slowly when it comes to raising their production accountability, especially if you've not been one to do that. Okay? So when you deliver the line, you should have a plan for that while in the huddle. It turns up the heat ever so slowly to where you've established the morning huddle as a solid and effective daily discipline. You see, the morning huddle creates group internal pressure to hit weekly targets by reaching daily targets. This is a very tight production-based meeting. It's not for anything such as problem solving. You can always double back with the staff member that needs a little bit more assistance, but this is a 5-minute production meeting. So that would be step one. Step two, you want to review any written orders. So you'll need to have a system to track orders that you've written to your staff. I don't care what your system is, just have a system. A way that you know that if you wrote an order, you know where it is, you know when it's due, and you can follow up on the individual. And your orders need to be written. You write orders so that your team executes actions in a timely manner. You write orders so that you can have a record that you can check on daily and follow up on the orders that are falling behind schedule. Keep a file. It could be paper or digital, I don't care. And you just use to keep track of these written orders so that when you follow up on any of those orders that are falling behind, you know where to go look, right? You don't have to go, did I tell that guy or did I write that down, right? So when you start writing orders and never forget to follow up, you'll find a marked improvement in practice efficiency. Just make sure that your orders will really make a difference if acted upon and set an appropriate time frame for completion. Now, step three, you want to review daily statistics and your progress towards your weekly targets. So every day, then you look over your stats your staff are keeping as they progress through the week. The reason that you have staff tracking their KPIs daily is so they can take appropriate actions throughout the week versus showing up at the end of the week and going, had a bad week, right? So actions could be taken during the week based on what's happening, right? So you want all staff to be a mini executive, at least for their own position and its valuable production. They are an executive of one. Tracking daily performance and tracking actions to reach targets is an exec's job, but it's also one that the staff should do as well. Because if they do, your job gets much easier, and so does theirs. Now, you want to pay careful attention to those staff who are not on target for the week to determine if you need to lean in a little bit before the week is done to help them reach their targets. Step four, you want to update your monthly target graph. So you should have 3 accumulating graphs. One day builds on the next day and on the next day that you track for the entire month. One is patient visit, one is new patients, and the other one's collections. Set a monthly target for all 3 stats and update the progress daily. In other words, if you have a target of 100 patient visits, let's make that really simple, and you have 20 working days in a month, get 5 patient visits every single day, every single work day, and you'll hit 100 at the end of the month. And if you're seeing 100 patient visits in the month, you're in serious trouble, right? But I'm just using that as an example because my math skills are limited, right? So you don't need to do the updating yourself, but you do need to push to make sure that you hit your monthly targets. The reason for keeping this graph is to help you and your team to stay focused on the big picture of hitting your monthly targets. See, stats can go up and down, but it's how things are moving on a trend that matters over the long haul. Maybe you have a crappy week, but the month was a home run. I would take that as a win. wouldn't you? So you've got to take a look at the day, the week, and the month. So step 5, check in on your staff. So go around and ask your staff 3 questions. Say, what are you working on? Are you having any difficulties? And is there anything I can do to help you? You don't have to be a robot and say exactly those words, but you kind of get the idea. So you do this to stay in the loop and make many corrections through the week as necessary. A good executive truly cares what's going on in the business. So when you ask, what are you working on? The staff member should share what actions they're taking to stay on or above the weekly target. So as a CEO, it is your job to eliminate unproductive busyness. So listen to what's being shared when you do your rounds, and if it seems inefficient, help improve their efficiency. Review the progress on each staff member's plan. Ask to see their plan. Your staff members are very busy people too, and they can become overwhelmed just like you, and it's your job to guide them if need be. If you want my help or my team's help as you begin to implement this, there's going to be a link down below where you can jump on a quick strategy call where we can show you exactly how we would use this and apply this to your practice. Thanks.